What up, everyone? It's your favorite Brooklyn boy, Anthony Carano, coming to you live with Cafe Meets Coaches. This will be a podcast centered around contemporary physical education for the masses. We'll go over a range of different topics such as skill acquisition, fitness planning, and how movement plays a role in the development of mind, body, and spirit. My goal is to help bridge the gap between academia and practice, connecting friends, colleagues, and future professionals with the motivation to move and the knowledge to do so efficiently. As the title suggests, some of the shows will be recorded in person at a cafe. If this is one of those episodes, you'll hear some background noise in the podcast. Hopefully you too will feel as though you're there with us. Without further ado, let's get into the episode.
Yo,
Ah, nice.
we're on there.
Coming live all the way from Japan, huh?
Yes, sir.
So first thing, let me make sure I'm saying your name correctly. Konishiki.
Konishiki.
Konishiki. See, I hear it different ways in different places.
Well, the proper way is Konishiki.
Konishiki. Yeah, I knew I needed some help with that.
Everybody does.
I appreciate it. So before I jump into anything, intros, all that stuff, I like to start with an icebreaker question. I have like these fun deck of cards over here. I pull it out. It's a random one. So you
Lay
ready?
it on me. I was ready. I was born ready.
So this one says, how did you spend your summer breaks as a kid? Or what is your favorite animal at the zoo? You get to choose.
Favorite time at the beach.
Okay.
Summertime, always.
Okay.
And that's where my playing was my playground and my training areas as a kid growing up to play football or boxing or whatever. It was my playground and our park to exercise. Running on the sand, hitting the waves was part of our routine.
I love it. So thank you for taking the time to jump on. It's definitely an honor to have you. I stumbled on your page because of your upcoming event, Sumo and Sushi. So,
Yeah.
I as transparent and honest as I can, I didn't follow Sumo. I'm not like a huge Sumo follower, but I call it a knowledge pirate. So meaning like I'm always a seeker of knowledge. And my expertise is movement and sports. And so anytime I can bring on someone, a great, there's no doubt that you have an amazing record and history in the sport of sumo and your background. And I was super inspired when I started to kind of look into you more and more. And I said, you know what, it's a long shot, but let me reach out to him, see if he's down to get on the podcast. And here you are. So I just want to say I appreciate you jumping on.
Easy.
Yeah. But tell me a little bit about like your background. So some listeners will know, some might not, but just like a brief overview of your background and what you do and where you've come from.
Okay, well, basically, I'm born and raised in Hawaii. I come from a Samoan family. One of the 10 siblings, and probably the youngest right now, turning 60.
Oh wow!
This year in December. Spent my whole high school, teenager time in Hawaii till I was 18. Moved to Japan to join the world of sumo. Joined sumo in 1982 in June. My career went for 16 years. Been retired almost 24 now. During my career, I've accomplished being one of the fastest to make a high rank with a person with no experience, zero experience. Still hold a record for the fastest to rise up to the high ranks, 8 tournaments. Still hold a record for being the fastest to become a junior champion, 14 tournaments. And the first foreigner ever become a champion in the world of sumo. And I got 3 Emperor Cups to my name. I held the title of a champion for 7 years. And after retirement, I left the Sumo Association to start my own company, which is called Konishiki Power. It's Konishiki Inc., Konishiki KP Inc. And I actually do I do music. I have 14 albums under my wing. Um, I do shows. I'm a kind of motivation speakers for both Japanese corporates and American corporates. I've
Mm,
hosted some of the biggest names in corporate world, from companies like IBM, Salesforce, Chevron, Merrill
mm,
Lynch, and on, Airbnb, all
mm.
these huge companies I've affiliated with doing. I'm actually doing, as we speak, I've been coordinating some VIP Sumo stuff. So, and yeah, I do a whole lot. I just finished a educational show with one of Japan's biggest TV
Mm,
station, NHK, the national TV station. I did it
mm,
for 20 years. I had like a Sesame Street kind of kid show where
mm,
educational and stuff. I did that for 20 years. I've
mm.
done DJ, I've done radio for 20 years. Yeah, so I do a
Go
whole
around
bunch of
it.
things. Then within the pandemic, I had to kind of twist things around and try to figure out what to move to next. What nothing was moving. I created my own barbecue sauce that I've actually only
Wow.
here in Japan. Created my new brand. It's called a SB52. It's a small brand, Koni. It's 552, and just starting. Hopefully, I can start doing it more abroad before out of Japan within next year or so. I'm so busy with something else and stuff right now. That's why. And
Mm,
then Sumo and Sushi. I've been approached many years. Then I decided to take it on into 219,
mm,
um, creating the show itself, creating the contents within the sushi and sushi program. And actually, it's something called sumo education or sumo edutainment. It's to educate people, and especially in the U.S., because I see it's getting popular, but people don't really know the roots of it and the
mm,
rules and regulations, and they think it's just two big guys in diapers hitting each other, which is they have no idea how hard sumo is.
mm,
And then and that's what the show is. We actually go through the show. Actually, it's breaking into three parts where basics and the exercise that we do to get our bodies into those flexible. And then we go into the rules and how the holds and the different holds that we have, and how why I explain that sumo is actually the MMA that came before all UFC and all that other stuff. Because
mm,
sumo is a mixture of karate, judo, aikido, boxing, and
mm,
kick, and people don't know that. So when I break it down and people finally find out, wow, shit, you guys can do that too.
mm,
And the hard thing about sumo, the association I come from, is there's only one in the world,
mm,
and there's only so many people can make it, which has been like that for the past 2,000 years.
mm.
So my goal right now is I told myself last year on my 40th anniversary in Japan. After the 40th anniversary, I've kind of dedicated myself in taking the time or whatever I got left in my calendar life, is just to go and start educating people about sumo. And I notice the popularity among not only in the US, it's actually bigger in Europe, to be honest with you. And there
Mm,
are much better amateur fighters in Europe than the US ever gonna have right now, because they
mm.
have backgrounds in judo and karate and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So that's where I'm at
back.
right now.
Oops, sorry to cut you. I was just gonna say my background. I do judo and karate. I've done it my whole life. My father has a school in Brooklyn, so martial arts is definitely deeply rooted in my heart. And yeah, so that's another reason that sumo definitely stood out to me. I've never done any sumo myself, but I'm actually not sure. I wanted to ask the question too. Do people do recreational sumo, or do you have to be professional? Like, do they have
They,
recreational
they,
schools?
they do have recreational. In fact, sumo is popular among, the they have kids, like Little League. They actually have
Yeah.
Little League tournaments,
Oh, wow.
huge tournament, and that's where a lot of these big time kids from the Japanese side make it to the top. From there, they go to junior high schools and high schools and colleges that have strong sumo teams. So actually, it's like baseball here.
Mm. Like, so when I thought of, it's funny, so I've learned that sumo is the national sport of Japan. And when I usually would think of Japan, I was thinking more so of judo, for whatever reason. But
No,
it's,
judo, karate, aikido, they all came The old days samurais, it's actually sumo guys.
Yeah, I was
And
doing
people, and the thing is, the reason why people cannot cope with or um really understand that is because their size, the image of they think their size are big, but they don't know that sumo, some of the best in sumo, the majority of them not even big, and that's why we don't have weight classes in professional sumo. In amateur you have, but in professional sumo, I can wrestle a guy who's 3 times smaller than me. For reasons of that is because the different techniques that we have in sumo is about 84 some different techniques in sumo. And the majority of these techniques is usually used by a smaller opponent because they can maneuver they can break a wrist in a second. They can kick an ankle in, because if we can do kicks, it's low kicks, and everything is timing. It's like science. You have to take advantage of a bigger person's weight. What do? You force him. You try to put all your weight on him and try to push him and make him kind of force himself to try to follow you or try to attack you at the highest speed by getting him to stand up. If you can, if any tree that is tall, it's easy to cut down. And then you think about it, it's like Aikido, where they take advantage of the person's weight and movement to beat them. And so all those little techniques, the throws that come from karate, from judo and stuff like that, is actually using sumo. And that's some of the stuff we show in our shows, Sumo and Sushi. We show how we can cut people's hands off our belts, how I actually can break your elbow in a second with the hose.
Wow.
And that's how come my fingers are off bent from sumo. Because they actually can trap my hand in their belt and actually break my freaking fingers.
So how do you win? How do you win? Like, I mean, I know there's a lot of rules to the game, and out of respect for
Sumo is very simple, the most simplest freaking sport in the world. It's not like karate or judo where they can fight for on and throw each other and you hardly get points. It's hard to. But sumo, you either slam your opponent into the ground in the floor of the dojo or you push him out. That's all it is. Anything but the bottom of your feet touches the floor of the ring, you lose.
Okay.
So it's very simple. It can be really fast, and that's why it's quick, and then it's very easy to follow.
And you can do anything to make that happen for the most part.
Well, there's rules where you're not allowed to hit with a fist. You can actually, I break somebody's teeth many times. I break the nose before, because you can actually palm his face. Which if you palm the nose, you can actually kill the guy.
Yeah.
Which is legal.
Wow.
You can actually karate. It's a karate chop to the chin. It's legal, as long as it's open hand.
That makes me think. Did you? I don't know if you have opinions on it, but did you see the Netflix show Sanctuary?
I saw the whole thing. I watched it from morning to night. I watched all 8 episodes.
Is the image of the big guy towering over? Is that supposed to be mimicking your image? There's an image there. Let me see.
There's some things in the whole show that actually, whoever wrote, put that the story together, have studied people's interviews and books, because there's parts in there that I see, and that's the way they looked at me when that big guy did look. That's actually how I looked. I was the guy that actually stared down. I brought this stare down. If you go back, if you can find old videos,
you see it.
Yeah, I see it. If you can go and in fact, I have an image, a T-shirt like almost like that. I was taken in London.
Yeah. I'm gonna get one of your T-shirts, by the way.
So the funny thing is, there's many, because I watched the whole thing, and there's a lot of parts in there that's you probably got this from this interview and this interview, and I see some of me in it too, But that's the image they had about me, but I don't know if they're really using me and stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're just taking bits and pieces from here and there, but as soon as I saw it, I thought of you right away. And I like to have fun with my podcast. I don't know if you see the background. It's Sanctuary.
Yeah, I see it.
I was like,
I have 4 boys.
Offensive, that making the sport playful when it's a serious thing, but I like to have fun with this stuff too.
No, but the thing is, the way they put it together, they put it in really well. I think they did a good job with the whole drama, and it actually really touches how hard it is for a sumo wrestler to make it. And you have to deal. It's like living in a boys' home.
Yeah,
and it's reality, because there's guys who assholes in there's assholes in the stable where you're gonna have to deal with, and there's guys that you get along with, and it's just, we have strict rules that we gotta live with, and it's really up to your coach, and everybody has their way of coaching, and it's like any other thing. Like the New York Yankees have the most money in baseball, you know,
Right.
like Dallas Cowboys have, and the same thing with sumo. If you have a stable that has a history of having great sumo guys, they have all the glory and all the money and all the girls and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
the thing is, it kind of touches the right bases and what we have to go through, because it's a tradition. People, we're not sports, what they call it. I don't even call it a sport. It's more like a culture.
Mm.
You have to live that damn thing. It's not like we can go sumo and then the next day you can go out and go on the street and like yell out something. Once you do something wrong, you're kicked out. They don't give a shit if you're Michael Jordan or LeBron or Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods would have been kicked out a long time with the shit he did.
Right.
A lot of these guys in the US, in the Europe, anything personal, even when you like hit your wife or something like that, or kill dogs or do all that stuff.
You're out.
In sumo, you're out easy. They've proven that many times, and that's why I thought the challenges is not really on the ring. The challenge is we have to live with that pride and how we represent sumo with the chomonge. If you don't carry that along with you 24/7 and realize that you're representing something bigger than yourself, you're just killing yourself while busting your ass and bleeding and sweating, and you do one stupid thing, which is a normal person can do and can get away with it easy. Not us. No way. You can't get away with this shit.
So that makes me think a little too. I was watching one of your videos. I don't remember which one, but there was something in there that you said the sport of sumo is the embodiment of Japan. And so like that piece of culture and, I think a big difference between some other cultures in the world and the United States is, in America, everything is, everybody's out for themselves. And there's this individualist, approach to getting up the ladder, where I feel like in some other countries, and maybe Japan, you could speak to it more. I haven't lived there, but there's more of a community and supporting that community. And so I find it interesting that you bring up the point of, you're representing sumo. And
well, the thing is, you got to listen. It's a culture.
right.
Right now, you don't have a culture in the U.S.
Yeah.
That's why individually, everybody has their own. It's everything about how cool you can look. It's how you can go on Twitter and say something stupid so you get attention. It's not about being real anymore. It's just being loud. To me, which us, we don't allow that. And the reason why we're very calm in our sport is because the respect that we are taught, that if you don't have an opponent, you don't have a sport, or you don't have a sumo opponent, you don't have a culture in sumo. So it's, even though I always say this at my shows, I said, we're the only sport, it's MMA, it's actually a contact sport where we can kick your ass and say, thank you for kicking my ass.
Yeah.
And that's respect, because we have to be grateful that I had an opportunity to kick your ass, but you kicked my ass in exchange. So we could have done to each other, and that's the respect. You bow before, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for letting me kick your ass.
I love that. Yeah.
And that cannot be done in the Western world, because they want to retaliate. Everything is about revenge. But you have to do it quiet,
Right.
effectively. It's from inside. If you have something to do, just come back and kick the guy's ass. You don't have to say it.
Right.
So it's a selling point in everything. Everything is about branding. All I hear about is branding. Who gives a shit about branding?
Right.
The culture. If you don't have a culture within a group of people, and you just have individual playing whatever sport it is, it's just an individual sport. Period. It's not a culture.
So can you tell me a little bit about the difference between, because you grew up in Hawaii,
Born and raised,
and then making that transition to Japan. And I guess, I also saw in your video saying, you've learned more and more about the sumo culture over the years. So what would you maybe say are some of those differences, or some of the things that you learned culturally through sumo, or through being, Japan and that lifestyle?
I think they've a lot of stuff. Well, the thing is, I'm coming up with a book anyway, and it's going to be talking about the similarities of how I was raised, because I was raised as a Samoan kid, and in my household, everything is seniority. I cannot talk back to my brother who's 2 years older than me, and my sister who's younger than me cannot talk to me, and that's why we fight. We fight each other all the time because we close at age and stuff. So the thing is, so it's the same thing. It's seniority and everything, and you learn from the bottom, and as you learn and to do things from helping other guys or apprentices to older senior wrestlers, you have to teach that back to the guys that come after you. And then what the thing is that culture is so strong that the ones, and that's why I said on the ring is not bad. Practice and stuff. I don't care. The practice and stuff. Anybody who has an athletic background can handle sumo athletically, but that's not where the challenges are. The challenges are it's the lifestyle that we have to live. My first 6 months, I had to get up like 3:30 in the morning, clean every stairs by hand. We're not allowed to use mops. I was on my knees and wiping floors. I was cleaning 4 toilets in the morning.
In the
For
stable.
like 6 in the stable, because that's part of, and the stable is everything is self-made. We don't have like trainers, we don't have cleaners, we don't have cookers, we have all that stuff. Everything is done by us. So the other thing I always say is like, for all the women in the world today, they all want to work. All the only things that sumo wrestlers cannot do is give birth to kids, but they can be great housewives because they know how to cook, they know how to cook, clean, and everything like that, you know. And that's the stuff we have to. Yeah, we live that life because we have to do everything ourselves.
But I mean, you have to live in a stable, right?
You have to live in a stable. That's how come sumo is 24/7, 365 days, and you cannot leave until you quit sumo. So that's the life.
Wow. What is that like? I guess, do you have a curfew and a time you have to be home? And
curfew, bro, 10 o'clock, lights off. You're not even allowed to look at your phones.
Oh, wow.
And
that's
you're up.
I come
from a old school stable. When the stable I joined, we had about 40 something active sumo tori. You know, and they gotta remember there's only about right now about 600 or close to 700. And this life of sumo, I guarantee you 80% of them cannot handle. If 100 kids join this year, less than 6 months, 70% of them will quit. And the thing is, it's embarrassing for a kid to quit. So they never quit officially. They will all run away. Because it's embarrassing to where they come from. No matter what little village, what little town you come from in Japan, everybody knows once you go to sumo, everybody knows you're going to sumo. And sumo is something that everybody look up to do. They all are supportive to see anybody to even challenge. And that's why people who know any kid that challenged to go to sumo, they all respect that because they know how hard it is. It's not even making it as a top wrestler. Even surviving in sumo is one of the hardest things to do. So that's where the challenges are. People look at that's the come when I and that's the reason why I did this sumo and sushi. When I saw it, they've been approaching me, but I thought you guys representing what it's all wrong, and I don't like what you guys do. And then when they asked me to do this thing, I thought the only reason I would do it if I ain't you guys not telling me how to run the show. That's one thing. If I'm putting the show together, then I'll do it with people I bring from Japan who were actual professional sumo wrestlers.
I love
it. You guys representing that thing so terrible. It's embarrassing. And I got so pissed off. So they always try to get in touch with me. You guys know what the hell you're doing. It's embarrassing. You guys think it's a joke. You know how many people who couldn't handle, you know how many people have died in sumo because of sumo? Because how hard it is? It's not a joke, man. You guys. So that's the only reason why I'm doing it. And the promoters, when I first did the show in 2019, we came to New York. We did Seattle and LA, and they were like blown away. Well, this is what it is. It's the real thing. You don't have to. We don't have to try to make it like American sport. If you're doing like American, what's the difference?
Yeah, you know
I can't turn around and
don't ever sell out.
I ain't selling out. I don't need that shit. I don't need the money. I don't need the work.
Yeah.
You know, and the only reason I'm doing it, I know we can take it to a place where people can actually understand it. because there's nobody can explain it the way I do, because there's nobody really bilingual like me who did sumo. So I'm just taking what I have and the knowledge I have for 40 something years now living in Japan and doing sumo to people. It's a great thing. It's a great place. And even when I do speeches for Japan's companies, they all freak out because if you have a hard time with your son, send them to sumo.
Right.
No, for real. And they tell why, because they can learn how to respect. And you'd be surprised. A lot of parents, they can handle the kids. A lot of them send their kids to sumo, like kids who got into gangsters and all that shit at a young age, street gangs and stuff. 1 year, their parents cried because the way they changed, the way they can say thank you, the way they send things to give mom gifts and stuff wherever we travel, because we travel as when we do tournaments outside of Turkey. And parents are like blown away from how changed the kids are. Because we don't bully the kids. Actually, we discipline them, and they see the difference because their kids at the same age, they change and they can see that. Yeah, and our goal as coaches in sumo schools is to build great character, great men within in the sumo association. Because to be honest with you, less than 10% can make it.
Yeah.
And then less than 1% will survive.
And do you think the sport evolved over the years? Like, has it changed a bit recently?
It's changed a lot within the past 10, 15 years.
And
Maybe 10. Well,
what?
because the whole world is changing.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're taking advantage to all these people who couldn't get back to sumo because the way they do things, they're all getting back to like the social media. The young people like grumbling. When I did sumo 40 years ago, we were getting whacked by bamboo sticks.
Yeah.
And it's the way you take it. It's the way you take it. If you think that was a bully thing and you take it those days, we didn't see it that way. In the way I was thinking in sumo those days is, if you're getting picked on, then you're a promising person. You're promising a sumotori. They think they think you're gonna make it. That's the only reason they would pick on you.
Would you say that do you think that there's a dark side to sumo? Like in the show Sanctuary, I guess like, as you're mentioning, like bullying versus building character. Would you say that, there are some stables that bully a little, or is it really that the show
It depends how you look, like I just said. If you look at bullying in that way,
right?
and I never said I was bullied, but I just placed things that I went through that I took advantage of that. But tell me anywhere in the world, any sport or anywhere you go, that you're gonna have somebody who's gonna say something to you negative. Everybody's too touchy with this shit. To me, if you do something to me, which it happened to me, I don't even call it Buddha. I just looked at it and I said, in sumo, I get hit. She said, you don't say sorry, you just said thank you.
Yeah.
But my thing was, you can get back. All you have to do is kick their asses. And that's what I try to teach you. No matter what they do to you, the strong survives. And every time somebody did to me, which happened, that's going to all come out of my book and stuff. I took advantage of that because it gave me fire. Because I knew the place that no one has no seniority is in the ring. So I can actually kill you in the ring if I could, legally.
Yeah.
So every time, that motivated me to become the reason why I got to where I got in sumo, and where I got up that high is because there was things happening to me I wasn't used to. The only person that really whacked me in my head is my mom or my dad. But when I joined sumo, there were a few guys who were doing it. If you call it bully, you can call it bully. For me, I call it motivation for me.
Yeah. I mentioned I did the martial arts my whole life, and I would say that so my father had the school. He kind of raised me in there, and there was this transition of old school style practices and new school, and there's like all debates behind it, but there's no doubt that the school was grassroots and had a tough side to it that didn't care much about money. So meaning it wasn't a business making money. This was about, the art discipline making people tough. So, but, and I know there's definitely ways you can modify and change and all that. But I can hear what you're saying about the piece of, it teaches discipline. And I think not everybody's built for that type of motivation, but for those that are, it's a great venue and a great tool, because there's many people who, when they get hit, they hit back,
Exactly. And not only hit back, the ones that hit back has no control.
Right.
And what martial art teaches you, the mind is what you control everything with. Being strong in the mind, taking advantage of that strength that people give you by bullying you. If they're bullying you, good, thank God. But I can get back to you, because if we step on a ring, we're on the same level. Now I get to kill you. I get to choke you. I get to slap you. I get to break your nose. I get to break your jaw.
Yeah.
That's where that's all you need to do. And I kill people we love.
Yeah. And
when it comes time to hitting, brother, my eyes are red and the boo ready to wipe you out, because when I come, and the good thing about our sumo practices, when we're sparring, I get to pick my opponents.
Is that how
that's how we work. It's like in football where you get boo ring, you hit, you win, and the next come. But you choose your opponent every time you win. And that's why I used to a lot, because I wanted to kill my opponent. I would actually pick all the guys who actually kind of picked on me on the regular days, and I made them suffer. I mean, I made them so freaking scared. Within 6 months of my career, they were like looking away. And the thing is, you have to pick, and every time they look away, I would actually step right in and point right into their face. I want you. Yeah. In 6 months, all these shitheads respected me.
Yeah.
None of them picked on me after that. 6 months.
Yeah.
Because I remember every single person's face. Whenever they do something to me at night, I looked up and and one of my guys who joined me like half a year before, don't do anything. Just stay in your futong. Don't do anything, because it just escalates it, because everybody's drunk.
Right.
Just escalate. Just stay in your bed. So I would just stare there and look up and just remember, who the hell, brother, I'm killing you tomorrow. I'm coming for you tomorrow.
Yeah, I get it.
But you think about it. It goes in. That's part of life, right?
Yeah.
Instead of you cannot prevent the shit, because that guy, whoever doing it to you, he was raised differently. So what the hell? You cannot control anybody's life, but you can control yours.
Right.
And if there's rules and regulations that you can take in your advantage, you should, which is the sport itself. Take them to practice and kick the ass out of them.
Yeah. Look, I get it. You're speaking my language. I do understand and know that it's not a sport for everyone. Hence why you say not everyone can make it. But there are people out there, and there is a population that is motivated by tough love, and
exactly,
and they learn discipline from it. And I do think there's a population for it, and and I think it still has its might not be the mainstream way nowadays, but it's still a way, it's still a venue, and there are still people who benefit from that type of tough love.
So, brother, I tell you, the people that make it in any sport, or make it in businesses and whatever, I know they get tough love. Anybody that comes up easy, it's because probably they got it hand over to them. But to be honest with you, there's nobody that make it easy. The mainstream media, they don't give a shit about hard work.
Right.
It's gossip. It's all gossip to the way I looked at it. There's no fucking way you can be like Brown. No fucking way you can't even be in the NBA. How many people can join a team? There's like only 14 or 15 of them can make it to the bench. How many basketball players you got? 1 million something basketball players. Same with baseball, same with football. To be in that level, even in sumo, even worse, there's only 60 of us can make it out of 800. Meaning only 60 people getting paid in sumo. So there's no freaking way. Hard love, if you cannot handle hard love, you ain't in the top divisions in anything.
Yeah.
Look
And
at look at Tiger Woods. The father actually trained him as a kid.
yeah,
His father was a military. If
yeah.
you listen to all these stories, they all come from hardcore backgrounds. No one had it, okay, you can do it, son. Okay. Oh, is it sore? Okay, sit down, son.
Yeah,
Rest.
right,
You
right,
know,
right.
every time you baby a person, the body's not going to be ready.
Mm,
So every time you baby the mind, the body is not ready. Your body has to be machines when you're doing this level of competition in any sport.
mm, mm,
It's a machine. You have to. Your body's not normal. Your body goes through shit that not the normal person go through.
mm.
That's why right after retirement, you see everybody, their body changes
Yeah.
like yesterday. You know,
I always tell people too that um, there's a difference between general health and being the best in the world in something. And like oftentimes, if you want to be the best in the world, if you are an athlete who's an Olympian, and a lot of times you're actually hovering the line of injury, that like in order to be the best, you have to put your body through things that
it's not normal.
it's not normal. So I always remind people too, you can do a sport recreationally for health, but if you're competing to be the best at something, those are clearly two different things, and there's two different ways to, enjoy the sport,
and and that's why it's so important because the physical part is something that you can have people help you with.
Mm,
You have doctors, you have trainers, you have nutritionists, you have trainers who get with skill can teach you skills and stuff, but nobody can teach you your soul, your heart.
mhm,
And that's why the heart battles all the time. Your mind and your heart fights all the time. Should I go tomorrow? Should I not?
mm,
Should I go through this? Should I not?
mm,
Man, I should kill this guy. I shouldn't. I
mm,
just break up with my girlfriend. Shit, I'm all fucked up now. I'm
mm,
sorry. But stuff like that, it's not the sport itself, because when you get to a certain point in your career, you naturally can handle whatever comes with the sport.
mm,
It's the things that you deal with because you're human at the same time.
mm,
Family, somebody calls you up, or your niece just passed away, your nephew passed away,
mm,
or I cannot be at the funeral, but now you have to go through all that.
mm.
Okay, I have a tournament, so I cannot make it to Christmas. I cannot make it to New Year's. I never been to a one Thanksgiving since I joined Sumo, or one Christmas with my family.
Wow.
Never been to any of my I never even been to any of my siblings' funerals.
Wow.
The only funeral I've been to was my mom, was because I was glad I was retired. And
Right,
and my dad, who I just, I let rest 3 years ago. Now think about it.
right, right.
That's the hardest part, where you can actually just say leave everything down, and you go to work and people, oh, I have to go to Alabama. I have an uncle just passed away. I cannot do that.
Mm, wow.
So think about it. It's
Yeah.
nothing. The sport itself is something your body get used to it, and your brain is trained for that. But your
Mm,
brain is not ready to try to break that to do something in the real world.
mm.
You see where I'm trying to go?
Yep.
Your
Yep.
private life is something completely outside of what you're doing, and there's some majority of stuff you do in your private you cannot do because of the focus you've put all your life into, and your energy, your physical part, and your mental into being the best you can be in whatever you put yourself in.
Yeah.
The sacrifices, you hear that all the time with all the sports people. They're
Mm.
so glad that they retire now. They can actually drive their kids to school.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
They can be at birthdays,
Mm.
stuff like that. It's the stuff away from the sport itself. It's the challenges, because when you're a star, the girls throwing their asses to you, and do you go and just grab the ass?
Mm.
Oh shit, I grabbed the ass, and she was like actually a freaking go-getter, and she just turned you in and make you look like an ass, and then now you're in the media, and now your whole freaking hard work went down the drain.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're in a bar, you drink too much, they start yelling, people focus, and they freaking take you on the camera and they put you on TikTok. Now
Mm.
you look at that kid, the basketball kid, playing around with the gun, and now he's on, and now they even thinking of he might not even play basketball again, and he has a $2 million contract.
Mm. I have one guy I'm working with now. He's preparing for a big event, but I often tell him, keep your eyes on the road. Anytime he's doing something, like I always think, You think about the girl, the drink, the this, the that. It's, you know, the little distraction here and there. And it's a constant reminder of keep your eyes on the road, you know, the destination straight ahead.
Brother, that's the word that everybody has to deal with,
Mhm.
distraction.
Yeah.
And that's what my book is all about. I don't care about my career because you can Google me and you can find out what I did. But you're going to have to challenge yourself and how to work with all the distractions. How do you keep your mind focused when you get a phone call that your mom is dying? You know, how do you handle things like, hey, bro, your best friend just passed away, and you cannot make it. You cannot go and say goodbye to them. You know. So it's funny, like, it's stuff like that. I see the biggest challenges. It wasn't sumo, because once I started training and the physical part wasn't a problem already, because it's like anything else. You're gonna get hurt. You're gonna get injured. You're gonna bleed. You're gonna have to sweat your ass to beat the next guy. That's normal. But when you step away and people don't know your private life and what you deal with away, get a relationship. Oh shit, I have to go into a divorce. And that's another problem you got to do, which every human has. Plus, being the best in something is always hard. Even it doesn't only have to relate to sport itself. It can relate to businesses, and if you're running a big business and you have a private life, it's actually, in a way, it actually takes away the 100% you have focus on your business or your sport. You take 1% away from any top athlete, and you kind of screw his life off. I mean, you have to be 100% because the people you're dealing with are the top.
That's right. Yeah, it's
I
1%
always say
out
that
of the game.
1% of distraction within that 100%, you lose.
Yeah, and you're out of the game. It's true. It's
And
true.
that's why it's so important. The word distraction is something that we all have to deal with. And that's what sumo teaches. Don't give away something you work hard for because you got distracted by something out there.
You know, you're making me think too. We in the martial arts, and this is, mainly for the black belts and things like that. But sometimes when it would snow in the winter, we'd go outside, we'd do our kata, and we'd do it barefoot in the snow. And some people would say, like, what the heck are you doing all that for? You'll get sick or this and that. I really thought about it one day, and I said, it's exactly that. It's how many distractions can I throw your way, but you still stay focused on the goal. So can I, like, for example, the cold on your feet is going to be a distraction. The pain, the this, the that, all these things are different distractions. How many distractions can I throw at you and you still stay focused and in the zone? And that's exactly your point, I think.
Exactly. All those little things. And that's why I can be 100%. So, okay, let's do this example. So in sumo, the greatest thing I have, because I'm big against somebody who's smaller with better technique and is just as good as me, and has high rank as me. The only advantage I have over him as being top sumo, if I can have a bad finger or sprained fingers and wrestle with 80% because of my weight. The problem with the small guy, just a little percent, just a little spring in his baby finger, he would never win because he has to be 100% because he don't have the advantage of having the weight and the size to challenge me. So even if I have injuries where I still can go on the ring, it's more like I can actually beat the guys, even guys who come with the same injuries, because they're smaller than me. And that's why my weight, I take advantage of what my weight, what I can do, whatever. So that's the difference in sumo. And when you're a small body and you're a technician and a speedster, once you get hurt, a little injury, ankle injury, and takes away from what you're good at, you're gonna get killed by the bigger guys.
And
there's only two things can happen. You either can stay there, or you take the day off and you don't wrestle that day, or get more injured. So a lot of guys just start fighting, and because they're warriors, they come and out fight, and then, as you can see, as tournament goes on, they get more injured and more injured. At the end of the day, they don't want to last too long because they don't have the body weight to cover with the body weight.
And if I'm not mistaken, what was your the most, I think it said 600 pounds or something at one point.
Yeah, yeah. I was like 300 pounds. I was 283 kilos.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. So shifting gears a little, but kind of still staying, in the realm of what we're talking about. Thinking about as an athlete myself or as a competitor sometimes.
Right. Right.
So as a, go ahead.
Go
Did
ahead.
you get that? You need to
No,
respond
I'm
to
good.
it?
I'm
Okay.
good.
Um, how many distractions can we handle and still stay focused?
That's one of them.
Yeah.
We just got rid of them.
There's no doubt.
That's
But
all. And it's life lessons too. If you think about, we're talking about what people deal in everyday life.
exactly.
You
Exactly.
know, no one tells you not to make it. It's actually up to you. It sounds tough, but that's reality. People don't want to hear the truth no more.
It's true. It's true. But the question I was going to ask was around strategies and offensive strategy. So like as a competitor myself or some other people listening or sports and play on high levels and things like that. When you get in the ring, do you have any strategies or a mental game or like in the martial arts, I think, for example, there's a blitz, right? You'll just run right at the opponent and go full force. Or, do you have any strategies that you use in the ring that you would gravitate towards or, to dominate your opponent?
Well, my technique is offensive.
Mm,
And one thing I do, I don't study my opponents.
mm,
For reason for that is because if I can get off on my timing and do what I'm good at, I don't care who you are, you can't beat me.
mm.
That's my mentality. That's it. I don't
Oh,
have to
wow.
study how fast or what kind of technique you have. Because if
Mm.
I hit you right, there's no way you're supposed to be there. My when I was in the top of my game, my matches don't last more than 5 seconds.
Wow. Yeah.
So my thing is I focus on what I can do best.
Mm,
I don't care what you have.
mm,
And I understood my body too at the same time.
mm.
And that's why I knew exactly how to move or when the guy do something, if he does move away or anything. Because I'm a big person, I don't have to do so much because I take most of the ring up anyway.
Mm. That's true.
You
Yeah.
remember? So the mass that I carry, I understood it more than
Mm,
all these my opponents. So every time they try to fake me out, try to hit me and try to sidestep, he made it easy for me because whenever you stand up a little and your knees are straightened up, you come lighter. And all I have to do is pound you in your chest and you fly out the ring. That's how
mm,
strong I was. But that's what it is. You don't even have to be strong because, like I said, if a tree is standing straight up, it's easy to push down.
mm.
And if you're lighter and you just stand up and try to run and try to run away, when you're
Wow.
running away from me, you're actually getting higher. Your
Mm,
hips are up, which
mm.
makes you very lighter. And all I have to do is, and because there's so much space within me and the edge of the rings on both right and left,
Mm.
I just take a right or a left step and into your chest.
You're still through.
Yeah.
Did you did you ever, I guess mentally, it sounds like this is probably something you did not have to struggle with, but being nervous before a competition or overcoming that fear, or did you always walk in the ring confident, no nerves, ready to go?
100%. I never was. The only time I would not get nervous and I would think too much is when I had it injured, when I was injured. But this funny thing is, the more I was injured, the more calm I was.
Mm,
Like I wasn't like when I was like feeling so good, 100%, I would be the beast.
mm,
But when I'm like injured, I have to think. So I'm
mm.
like the calm beast, and I actually wrestle better because I'm calmer. And
Mm,
and then I learned throughout my career, bruh, you can be a beast, but relax, like cool down. Well, my mind is just telling me I always say this. I hear a beat in my head. I go doom, 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 doom. And that's actually the speed of my hands hitting the guy in the face. Boom, boom, boom. And my head is telling me it's only 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, gone.
mm,
So that's when I was like at the top of my game. So when I was hurt, everything was slower down. Doing. You were more like present. You wasn't in a super zone where you're up in the galaxy looking down and stuff, you know.
And you
And
think
that's why I lost a lot of matches too, because I overreacted to my strength, and they took advantage of that. And the funny thing, during early in my career, I figured out as I go on, they were actually staring back at me to get me pissed off.
Because they wanted you to overreact.
Yeah. So it's fun. It's 20-year-old kid from Hawaii, and all he has is power and this mental toughness, and they can see it in me. So let's get this freaking kid mad so he can attack. And I didn't notice that. I was just coming no matter what, And I would actually win easy or lose easy,
So you would say that when you did calm a little, it did make you perform better because you weren't overreacting. It wasn't easy for the opponent to, I guess, use your weight against you or something like that.
Exactly. And that's what I started combining that with my strengths, and that's what. But after injuries and stuff, and that's what I think that's what made me last 16 years in sumo. Even with the injuries, I busted my knee, my shoulder, my left shoulder. I busted my left shoulder only within like my third year in sumo.
Wow.
And I wrestled with the sumo, this badge. Even now, I cannot lift my left shoulder. I wrestled with this for 13 years after that injury.
And so most sumo careers are shorter than 16 years or about the same?
A lot of people don't make it. A lot of people don't even go over 10 years. I always say, if you can do sumo 5 years, if you can last 5 years, you've made it.
Yeah. And that's 24/7 living in the stable. You're talking.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing. I talk about, especially when I do speeches for companies and stuff. People only see the guys that make it, but to be honest with you, because all the discipline and all the respect and all the ethics, the working ethics these kids learn from sumo, after they leave sumo, I know guys who came from nothing own golf courses now.
Yeah.
I know a guy who, when he went to the second level, owns 3 hotels. Self-made now. Self-made now.
Yep.
And that's what I'm trying to say. The discipline can take you far into life, because you know what sumo wrestlers are? They listen. They can sleep anywhere. And because they stayed young where they quit after 5 years, they stay at 20. Even if they do 10 years, a lot of them join at 15. After 10 years, they're 25. They know how to work and shut up.
Yeah.
Very humble, and they don't have to sleep in nice places. They can sleep in the car.
Because you're sleeping in a room with others anyway when you're in the stable, right?
Yeah, you have to sleep with everywhere. So sleeping in a car or sleeping in the freaking little room by yourself, it's like luxury. Privacy.
I guess if someone snores, that's it. You're hoping you snore in the room.
You should be happy you snore, because you're not the one who taking the snores in your ears anymore. You're the one snoring. But that's what all this is all about. This respect, this, all this stuff we talk about, it ends up teaching us so much that, I retired 24, 25. I'm still out there in public, and nothing actually like pisses me off anymore. I just, okay, whatever, I move on. It's not worth it even to think about it. If it's something I can control, that maybe I try, but if not, I don't even give it. You can walk up to me and call me a fat shit or whatever, and I just look at, okay, thank you. I didn't know that. It doesn't bother me, because it just, words. I've been to worse. I've been challenging being a foreigner in sumo, and growing up in sumo, and being where I was in sumo, and then battling media. I didn't know how to do that. I was only 18, 19, and 20 when they was talking shit, and I didn't understand until I was getting translated to me. And I didn't know how to handle that stuff. I went through that, and this is nothing compared to what I went through. So that's why sumo prepared me for the worst.
Yeah. They say that there's a lot of studies done with people who are athletic or participate in sport, and they usually are calmer because their body's been put through a high stress level already, so they have this higher stress tolerance. So if somebody like you're saying, approaches them or something happened, your body's already used to having a fast heart rate, or already used to being overwhelmed, or used to being, where now it's not as overwhelming as the average person. You've
Exactly. Been through it, it's like, okay, it's
I
all
used to
cool.
tell another, one of the guys I was training too, I'd say, visit hell in training and they'll be your friend on the battlefield. And, maybe hell's not the best word, or some people interpret it differently, but it's the piece of, you put yourself through that stress in training, and all of a sudden the battlefield, it's not a problem. And
One of the guys you should interview is good. We went to Stuka there. He was a MMA legend. Ian Ensign Inoue. He's actually one of my buddies, like my brother. We both went to the same high school, and he ended up in Japan too. He's a legend here, and because of MMA, him and his brother Egan was the number one racquetball player in the world.
So he was Hawaiian.
Yes, he's born and raised from Hawaii. His son's Japanese, but he's like a warrior. You know what you just said? That's exactly what he always talks about.
Yeah.
The reason why he doesn't taps out, because he knows his mind's telling him he can go through that pain. And then he's so calm now. He looks scary, like us. Anybody see me? I'm big, so they think I'm intimidating, and they find out, oh shit, this guy don't even. He just laughs a lot and just he's normal, like and then I don't have to go and advertise. I'm normal.
Right.
I'm good.
Right.
You get what you see, and if you want, ask.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask one or two, we're almost approaching the end here. And I just wanted to ask, like, out of my own curiosity, I'm always training in the dojo, and I had the lucky privilege of going to West Point, which is a prestigious military academy in New York. And I didn't attend there myself, but meaning I got to go and train with the judo team there because of one of our instructors. And I fell in love with a lot of the drills that, which was really one of our guys, and the system's called Hodokan. But, I fell in love with the conditioning drills and the training. And I'm curious what sumo training looks like. Like, do you ever lift any weights? Is it all sports specific where you're pushing each other? Like what does the training look like?
A lot of calisthenics, a lot of stretching, a lot of leg exercises, a lot of balance exercises. And that sumo squats is one of the hardest exercises to do. And all the budos in Japan, they all probably do, the karate guys, the judo guys. It's actually builds your core. You tell me now, guys who are over 400 pounds can lift up their legs up in the air and keep it there without even falling.
And that's called Sumo, right?
Yeah, Shiko. It's called sumo squats. But anyway, the reason why I said it is because I've hosted NFL players who came and tried to do that. They're all tight. I've hosted surfers, world-class surfers, UFC guys that came in and tried to do the exercises. And in fact, the last big name that I hosted was Curry, Stephen Curry.
Yeah.
Earlier this year.
Yeah,
and they were like, "No," and we are flexible. Everybody can do the splits and everything. You got to remember, these six major tournaments a year. If you're a high ranking, you're banging heads 90 matches a year, every other month.
Wow.
And then you're training all year round. You go on tours. And the only reason why we can go through injuries, we can fight with injuries, because we prevent injuries by breaking down our bodies into being very flexible. Prevention from injuries is actually getting your body all flexible. And their exercises are so cool. If you can check out my I think my Instagrams and my Facebook, I have stuff posted as Konishiki sumo stuff, where you can actually see stuff that I go and help train some sumo authorities when I have time, with my other brother, who's former grand champion, Musashi Maru, who's actually from Hawaii too. So he stayed one of the coaches. He's the only guy from Hawaii that stayed, and he has his school for sumo and stuff. So I usually, when I have time, I will go down and help him train these boys. And these kids are all tough, even though they're young. They're so in shape, like their legs and their balance are so good. I just have to work with their upper body strengths and stuff. But all these Japanese are always like that. Their lower bodies are so perfect for any sport. Just their upper bodies, they're not, I guess just raised different. They don't carry things as much as us as kids, We don't get into the weights as we grew up with weights, with all your brothers lifting weights and everybody around it. So you knew something about lifting weights. All these guys don't have that yet. Yeah.
So sumo they don't lift weights in sumo?
Oh, they do, but it's all individual.
Right.
Everything is
But some
individual.
do
But
and some
basically, a lot of push-ups, a lot of hitting the poles,
don't.
and they have enough exercise to build your body in sumo. Actually, you don't really need the weights, but that's for extra to build even stronger bodies.
And I had to ask because, I told a lot of people, I said, hey, I'm going to bring you on. And I don't, it keeps going back again and again. They said, what do you eat as a sumo guy?
Well, the thing is, that's another thing. Everybody think we eat like freaking. Of course, you're gonna have to eat, but we only eat 2 meals a day. It's called chanko. It's this stew thing that and with a lot of vegetables, a lot of, we've hosted some NFL players and they're like freaking out. You guys get big on this? I thought it's not actually the food that we eat. Of course, we're going to be hungry. We're eating. It's actually the timing because we're not allowed to eat anything in the morning. So after the first meal of the day, which around 11:30, 12 o'clock, because we train from 4 o'clock in the morning those days, you're so hungry, you eat as much as you can, then you go to sleep. You go to sleep and then you rest. They force you to sleep. And then your second meal is at 6 o'clock. It's just eating, bro. No more steroids, no more protein, nothing. It's just eating.
So
and your body develops to get bigger as you grow into the sport. That's why.
So a training day, walk me through as quickly as possible a training day. So you wake up at 4 a.m. and you're training at 4 a.m.
My day we start at 4 o'clock. And then we go in, we do warm-ups and stretching. And the stretching is about an hour and a half before we start sparring. And where that first level of people starting, the other group comes in because everything is by ranking. So by what rank you come later. And the high ranks come in like maybe 7:30. And then they train and they start sparring maybe 9 o'clock. And then we get to watch them. And then the whole day is just training. The whole morning from 4 to maybe 11:30, all about training.
Wow.
No eating, no drinking at all.
Wow. So then you finally get a meal at around 11:30.
And that is all by rank. Now it goes the other way. Only the high rank gets to shower first, get dry and get outside and eat first. And then it goes down by rank. And then you go and take a rest and everything. So.
And you train again later or?
No, and that's where individually you have to go do therapy. If you have to go do therapy or you want to go lift weights and stuff like that. That's where it changes and stuff.
So the average, a part of the regular training, so you're not lifting, some people are lifting weights and some aren't.
They do, they have dumbbells and not everybody, it's really up to you.
Wow. So there's some people who make it through sumo without ever lifting weights.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of them. Majority of them.
Yeah.
Majority of them. You don't act, like I said, you don't really need the weights.
And there's a,
well, look at the athletes today. It's all body weight that you use in strengthening your cores and learning how to build all different muscles. If you look at sumo guys and look at their legs, focus on how their legs are, the whole muscle they have in their legs is used to lift them up. Everybody thinks it's just lifting. No, you have to actually transfer all your weight to your leg that you have all the weight on. It's not the leg you lift, it's the leg that you have all your weight on. See if you can balance your whole weight on it without even moving, And that's where your toes are gripping. Your toes are, we call it biting into the ring, biting into the ground. Your toes are everything. And then your fingers here is important. This is where the karate chop, this is where you grab. This is your strength right here. It's here, your inner elbow, your pico, which is and then below your balls is where you focus your body on. That's no matter how small you are. A lot of these guys small, you can have I had a friend who he pulled trucks and carried thousands of pounds for a career. The world's strongest man. And I have a great friend that did it. So he came in. He tried to lift one of the smallest sumo guys. He couldn't.
Wow.
Because he was getting blocked because his body center was so correct that they couldn't lift him. It's all about how you center your body. Your body's centered in the middle. And that's where the balance is all comes from. It's like karate or judo. If you're not centered, your throw is not going to be perfect. You know what I mean? It's ballerina.
A lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff. So I guess,
but that's what people don't see. If I don't break it down like this, I think even you probably listen to me now. No shit, like you probably hear anything you never heard before. But that's what it is.
Yeah. No, I respect it. I know, most Americans, we could talk about people generally, of course. Generally speaking, I'd say like most Americans, maybe lose sight of some of the hard work, and the process that it takes to really earn something, because sometimes things are given a little easier. Yeah. And so, but I would classify myself as somebody who, maybe has a bit of wisdom, being lucky to talk to some people like you and to understand that the hard work that you put in to get something is well worth it. So, yeah. But so we're gonna start to wrap everything up now. I know, I want to respect your time too, and I'm sure.
I'm glad we got it. We got to talk, bro.
Yeah, man. I could go on, and will you be in New York City
when we get to part 2 someday?
Yeah. So you'll be in New York City for the Sumo and Sushi, or is the event just gonna be?
No, we're gonna be there. I'm actually going to Miami next week. We start in Miami, Washington D.C., then New York is our last leg.
So if I'll give you a wave, or if I see you, shake.
No, let me know. If I see you, just walk up to me. I'm actually in the crowd anyway.
Yeah.
I'm the MC of the event, so I purposely don't want to be in the ring, so I actually sit inside the crowd and actually MC the whole thing from inside the crowd with the mic.
Rumor has it that some people from the audience get picked to play.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you see me there, keep an eye out. I'd be honored to get my ass whooped by somebody.
That's the funniest part about the whole thing. All these people coming up, and there's guys who come in who actually are active, and you're wrestling guys who've been in sumo retired for like 10 years or more than 10 years and stuff, and been in but they're still strong enough to kick your ass, and they're all flexible. But I'll see you there, man. Drop me a line to let me know where you at. We're probably there in the week of the 24th.
Yeah.
June.
Awesome.
That weekend.
Yeah. And so I'll, when I shout this out on Instagram, all that, I'll connect everyone to your page. I mean, from there, your stuff is hyperlinked, so people can click and follow all the stuff you have there. So everybody can stay connected with you.
Got it.
So yeah, man, I appreciate everything. How do you guys say, but peace out, bye? What do you got? What's your
sumo? Kochandis. Kochandis. It's like an os in karate and judo, but we say kochandis.
Kochandis. Did I get it?
Yeah, you got it.
Kochandis, brother.
Okay, brother. You take care.
All right. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you having you on here.
Yeah, Anthony. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.